does have gas, so that's slowed that down a little bit.
Yeah, the Korean stuff is more reminiscent of old fast expand builds from TVP where you would actually just go like 4x Marine with no gas and just trying to build up an absolutely massive amount of Marines to keep yourself alive and then potentially put some pressure on your opponent.
Yeah.
Now with the Planetary Nexus, there's no chance that you're actually going to be able to go attack them. No. So he is doing a little bit of a more defensive style. He's just going to build up a lot of units and then head for some kind of tech. But the Oracle already into the main, very, very quick here. SCV is immediately evacuating, and he has enough Marines to hold this off, but the mobility is a bit of an issue.
Huck is 4-gating him right now. There is no Nexus down. He's gone Proxy Oracle into 4 gateways. He has a Proxy Pylon basically in the natural of his opponent.
And this is going to be tough. We have Stim started. It's unlikely that that's really going to kick in. I can't imagine Huck wanting to drag this out too much. And Void Ray's coming, along with a second Oracle. So Huck is really just going to try and dance him around all over, kill off as many Marines as he can to set that up. It's actually more important for him to kill Marines than SCVs at this point.
Yes.
To set up that follow-up attack. But he's not really massively keeping his Marines together, keeping very careful and very safe. And Huck hasn't really found much of an opening here just yet.
The addition of the Void Ray is kind of interesting here. What do you think to that?
It's just a beefier addition to the attack. He's going to use the charge to try and power down the bunker. Oh, that's very over-aggressive there, I think. He got maybe 3 Marines, but he lost an Oracle, and the second Oracle is now so low, it's not going to be able to join the battle. And you can't underestimate Oracle DPS in actual engagements. Like, it's a harass unit, but if you have something under it to tank for it, it does a ton of damage in battles, especially against Marines. So throwing those away there, not really the best decision from Huck.
Second bunker's coming down here as well. Huck is actually not building anything right now. I assume he's waiting for another round of Warpins, and then he's just going to go for it. And this might still work. He's kind of drawing the Marines away from the front line here by threatening that mineral line with his Oracle, but there are a lot of Marines coming out. I mean, there are 12. Let's see how good these force fields will be, because the engagement is now coming in. Zealots at the front here, and the Marines just absolutely decimated here, jammed in exactly where they didn't want to be.
But I don't know if it's going to be enough. He already has 2 bunkers up. He's going to have another one come down, and there's really just not that many units left here for Huck. He needs to pull more SCVs to repair, but assuming he does that, I think he holds. And this is a complete all-in from Huck. He's still on 1 base. And Stim completes before he gets a tech let down. That's very big.
Yeah, that would have been a big deal if he'd been able to take that out, but yeah, you're absolutely right. He hasn't taken a Nexus whatsoever. He's continuing to warp in here. This does not appear to have done anywhere close to the damage that Huck really wanted it to. Stim comes in under the Void Ray. Void Ray just goes down like a sack of potatoes. That is, in itself, pretty brutal. And there's a Twilight Council following it up, so I assume when behind we go Dark Shrine here.
Huck has been inspired by Hitman. This is... there's a definite influence to his play here. +1 weapons about to finish. Stim, as we saw, already completed. 3 barracks in production, or 3 barracks production going. Factory coming up. That's likely to be a non-issue here. I think Huck is going to give up before that really matters. But just everything's going really, really nice for Massa here. Adding a 3rd bunker, even just keeping himself even a little bit more safe.
Yeah, he played well against the Oracle. Certainly the Oracle's coming in behind. It's going to do a little bit more damage, but it's going to have to do a hell of a lot more than that against Double Orbital when his opponent is only on a single base right now. There's still no sign of medevacs coming in, and I mean, these Marines are starting to get a bit overstimmed, which does worry me a little bit, but it still seems like Massa's in a good spot.
Getting picked off here. Losing that bunker, losing a couple of Marines, that's kind of annoying. And we do see Blink is going to be the choice. It's not going to be Dark Shrine, which is interesting. I'm not really sure if he's going to find an open here, but he does have the Oracle and the Stargate in order to give him vision of the high ground to blink in. There's a pretty big perimeter on this map, lots of access to that, but just he's going to... Oh, he's actually getting Widow Mines out. That'll help him defensively. Okay. As a starport coming up, he's going to have medevacs, probably not for the initial blink, but pretty soon after. And he has a lot of units. He has 3 barracks, constant production.
There's one thing that I don't really like for Massa. He only has 10... at that point, actually, he only had 10 SCVs working at all. Like, half of his SCVs are pulled off the mineral line for defense at this stage, which... It makes the economy look a little bit stranger than it should.
Well, he has mules, which compensates for a lot, and he's 2 base versus 1. If he survives at all, he wins. So it's kind of understandable, especially against a player like Huck. It's pretty intimidating. If he gets 1 good force field, we saw what could happen, almost happened on that initial attack where he got a bunch of Marines for free. So Massa definitely a little bit paranoid, but he's actually pulled the SCVs back just as the real attack is about to come.
Blink to the main base right now. Massa currently slightly supply blocked, and will this actually work here for Huck? He didn't have his blink up, lost 2 stalkers there. The Zealots now move in and tank the Widowmine shot. The bunker now going down. That was tricky. That was sneaky as all hell from Huck to draw his opponent up the ramp and then force field him into his own base. Now he blinks on top of it.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of kills here, but he's also trading a lot of stalkers.
Yeah,
and
he is.
His units are not expendable. He only has 1 base. He has very limited resources to work with here. But still a good amount of stalkers alive, and really good positioning here. It's very tough for Massa to actually get a good engagement here. And with Huck's Blink Micro, I'm pretty sure he can actually make this work from this point. I think he's done enough damage now.
Which is incredible in and of itself. Keeping that Oracle alive seems to have made a difference as well, because any attempt for a Stalkers round will result in a lot of very dead SCVs very quickly. These SCVs are not mining. Bunkers are irrelevant now. This barracks is about to burn down, so that's going to be some production that isn't there. He's trying to focus on another one. The repairs are coming in here as well. Is Huck actually going to make this happen?
Yeah, at this point, almost definitely. Only 2 barracks left. Units being picked off as they come out, and more stalkers coming in from Huck, and he has complete control over the entirety of Massa's base.
That is ridiculous. GG. And Huck somehow takes that second game. That was sneaky as all hell. I mean, we were talking earlier about how opportunistic Huck is. And he waits for that perfect moment, draws his opponent's force, about 2/3 of it, up the ramp, force fields him inside his own base, jumps back down, kills the stuff at the natural. That was... you gotta give credit to him for that one. That was devious.
That was really, really nicely executed. Again, just recognizing an opportunity, recognizing the lack of defense in the main of Massa. Massa didn't have any idea that Blink was coming out. I'm not sure if he even thought it was still going to be an all-in, because as far as I know, he didn't scan, and he had lost vision of the natural of Huck. So I don't know if he still knew he was in danger, and just 0 defense in the main, everything focused on the natural, and Huck completely taking advantage of that.
Yeah, that was really nice, and that's going to be a problem, I think, for Massa now, because he just played his big macro map and got crushed on it in a very, very strange way indeed. That's not only going to impact your confidence, but this map pool is starting to get a little bit smaller for him. He's going to be a little bit limited. Fruitland is lurking in there, probably not a map he's too comfortable with.
Probably not. And the bigger thing is now you start to worry about his confidence, because Huck has won the last 2 games pretty easily, and both with just like I don't know, it's hard. It happened quickly, but you can't call it a cheese. It was just a casual build that Massa died to, and then he gets 1 based on the big map that he chose, and he dies to it. I don't know. It just kind of seems like Huck can do pretty much anything and make it work against him at this point, and that's a very intimidating position to be in as the opposing player. Because you never know what's going to happen. Anything could happen. Anything has killed you so far.
Yeah, that's scary. That's really, really scary. For the longest time, Huck looked like he was absolutely dead in that game. Stuck on 1 base, mining out his own main. No intention of expanding, limited tech options while his opponent was getting medivacs up, getting everything he possibly could. And then, suddenly, he gets tricked and bamboozled. But there you go. So, we're going to see what the next map will be momentarily. Massa needs a few moments to collect his thoughts. I certainly do not blame him in any way, considering that. That's going to be a tough thing to come back from. We're going to be hearing a word from our sponsors for this tournament, and when we come back, more action from the SHOUTcraft America Winter Finals. waiting on Huck, and then we'll get going. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SHOUTcraft America Winter. I hope you liked the appropriate track there. That was by Cold Storage, and it was called Canada. This is the way of this tournament right now, I've got to say. Alright, we're ready for Game 3, and that's exactly where we are going to go right now. Here we go. Marsa versus Huck on Derelict Watcher. Currently, Marsa is looking decidedly outclassed.
He is, but he's died to essentially the same thing both times. Huck has just taken control of his ramp and really abused that with playing Stalkers in very different ways. The first game more of a macro build, the second game complete one base all in. But at least on this map, it's much harder to do that. The ramp connecting the main and the natural are much less exposed, much less vulnerable to that kind of thing. Playing Stalkers can still work, but the ramp control is what really has... What? Oh, Huck accidentally had Terran selected, so I think this may not be working out quite so well for him.
It seems like he's trying to even the score just a little bit there by handing a map free to Marsa. How good is Huck's Terran? I've got to ask.
I don't think I've ever experienced it. I can't imagine it's that good. I don't know. I've never seen him play an off-race in general, actually.
Off-racing really interests me for some reason. Just being able to see pro players go really out of their comfort zone and play something just a little bit different. It's actually why I've been watching Show recently, because he's been making big claims about Protoss being easy peasy. So it's interesting to see him kind of come up against the unique challenges of that race versus the race he was playing previously.
How is he doing with that? Is he Grandmaster yet?
I think so. I think he is. I can't be 100% sure, though. I haven't been keeping track of him over the last couple of days, so I'm not really 100% on that, but I know he was struggling a little bit. He was certainly not having a ridiculously easy time of it.
That's too bad. That was always my fear with switching. It's like, because it takes a while to learn things, no matter how easy they are. It's not that simple. And then in the meantime, as you are trying to learn things, everyone has a field day with, oh, I thought it was easy, how come you're losing games?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, because you're dumbasses.
Yeah, that's the exact reason. I actually tried Protoss a little bit, and my mechanics are obviously terrible. But it's even worse, I think, for a kind of player that's played for a couple of years, doesn't play a lot, has pretty bad mechanics, and has never really got above Platinum. You try and switch, everything falls to pieces. The muscle memory that you've actually managed to develop and like the basics of mechanics that you managed to get into your head, they completely fall to pieces. I couldn't do anything. I started off, I got my expansion, and suddenly I've got like 2,500 minerals and I have no idea what's going on.
That would be a little bit worse. At a pro level, the mechanics carry over pretty easily, besides for some specific things that take a little bit of experience. But overall, it's more timings, and particularly with Protoss, everything about Protoss is timings and having efficient build orders. So you can't just casually switch over, you do actually have to study it for a bit, like watch a few pro games, memorize the build orders, and actually learn when things are supposed to happen. Because if you miss the timing by a minute or two, the entire game's out the window, no matter how good your mechanics are and how simple the Protoss is. So, yeah, it kind of props to show for actually being willing to do that, and I'm taking the criticism in the meantime.
Yeah,
I hope he can do it.
Well, it certainly helped his stream viewership, so, you know, maybe it was a tactical business decision from him. But, yeah, I mean, I would love to see him actually play in a tournament with that and see how well he does.
That would be really cool. I want him to win. I want him to just, like, become amazing with Protoss and just be a total dick about it and be like, I told you all so. You're all terrible.
That would be the worst.
That would be wonderful.
I'm sure you would love it. I cannot imagine how bad the forums would get if that actually happened.
Yeah,
he goes and wins a tournament after just switching to toss. I'm like, oh god, all of the fears have been realized. The balance whiners were right all along. God, it makes me terrified just to think about it. I'm sure David Kim is quaking in his boots at the possibility as well. All right, here we go, folks. This man has a lot to prove right now. He is currently down 2 maps in this best-of-7 series against the guy who has been considered by many, of course, to be one of the top 3 in America. Right now, he's fighting for his tournament life. He is in the southwest position in the purple trunks playing Terran. He is Rootmaster. And he's going gas first. All right. He's up against his opponent to the southeast position. No. Let's try directions again. That's not how things work in geography and real life. To the northeast position. In the orange trunks playing Protoss, it is E.G. Huck.
And that gas first is a pretty big mix-up from him, given that he's been going CC first the previous 2 games. Now going the very other end of the spectrum, very quick tech oriented. Not sure what that's going to mean. Most likely is going to be, well, the gas first is going to be a quick factory, so maybe into fast starport play, quick Widowmine drop, quick... I don't think Hellbat drop really happens too much anymore. Sometimes just Hellion plus Marine plus medevac pressure. Something like that. But Huck plays... He doesn't tend to play very greedy early on. I don't see a whole lot of holes in his play. We saw the Muslim try to do a very quick proxy Widowmine drop, and Huck just beat it with ease. And didn't really take any damage at all, despite going for a pretty quick Nexus that game. And that was on a much more aggressive map than this. That was on Yunsu. Derelict Watch is one of the bigger maps in the pool. The factory comes down immediately. Okay. I'm really curious what Muscle's going to try and do here.
What is this? Yeah, it's difficult to know. The factory first... I have to wonder if he would try something with Hellions. As you said, the kind of big Marine Hellion push early on can do damage, certainly, but it's a little funky regardless. I doubt we're going to see any Banshee nonsense from him again. That would be really strange, especially since he has not taken a second gas. Not that he would have to do that just yet if he wanted to, but... I'm intrigued. I really am. And I'm actually quite happy to see Marsa taking the aggressive momentum for a change, because I think it's abundantly clear that playing greedy against Huck is a really terrible plan.
Yeah, this could be really good or it could be really bad. He knows, and it is actually a quick starport, but still only on 1 gas. Definitely going to be some kind of drop. And it looks like it will be a Widowmine Marine drop.
All right, yeah. That's a little bit of a classic. It works pretty well, especially against Protoss, and pretty much better than any other race. So we'll see how that one turns out for him. It could turn out very well indeed. Huck's going to take his Nexus, so far so standard for him, but he is making his way across the map already. Wants to start applying pressure.
And if Huck plays the way he has been, he's been delaying his Robo in favor of quick Blink Tech and heavy units. Maybe this can do something. The Widowmine could give him control over an area, or at least shut down Mineral Line for quite some time. No Robo yet from Huck. And he can afford it in just a second, and he actually starts it immediately, so that's pretty awful. He sees the Widowmine, he loses a Stalker for it, but that scouting information is invaluable. And his Nexus is already down, he's going to be absolutely safe, I have to imagine, from anything here. I don't know. Just not good luck for Massa, because against those previous 2 build orders, the Widowmines would have been quite powerful, no detection at all early on from Huck. But here, just rushing the Robo out immediately after a pretty quick Nexus.
Yeah, and what we're seeing is a change of pace, actually. He's going to switch out to Hellions instead. And now going to add this reactor in here, and knowing that, oh, the Widowmine's been seen. Right, well, there's no way that's going to do anything. But he is going to try the 6 Marine 1 Widowmine drop as opposed to the 2 Widowmine 4 Marine drop. And the Hellions are going to back this up. And that means he can do a bit of a two-pronged attack. He may be able to stretch Huck a little bit thin here.
But it really looks like Huck knows what's coming. I don't think he's even going to send probes down to its natural until he's secured himself. He's just going to leave that Nexus sitting there. Nothing's going to happen to it. There's no need to worry. Just defend his main, and once he's stabilized, he'll go take that natural and have a very, very nice, comfortable economic lead. The first observer is out, along with a Zealot and a Stalker. Not a lot of units, but unupgraded Marines aren't really going to do a whole lot here, so
not really.
Doesn't have to worry too much.
Widowmine's been spotted by the observer, so that's not really going to be too much of a problem. He's trying to work on that pylon, which would actually shut down what he thinks is observer production, but there's already one out, so that doesn't really make any difference. The scan goes down, the observer actually gets killed by the Widowmine in a rather strange twist of fate, and now Marsa is going to leave and then try and loop around and do some damage, but so far this has done very little. He is going double CC behind this.
Yeah, he's going to have to try and play the economic catch-up game. That Nexus just up and running already for Huck. Big probe advantage already. Actually, only 30 to 27, not as big as I expected. He's been spending Chrono Boost on gateways and robos. And Hellions coming in, doing a little bit of Nexus shield harassment. Not really the most efficient thing there.
Yeah, I assume that the targeting was messed up as soon as that became an aggressive building, and the first shot of Hellions actually went up on the Nexus, which didn't help at all. So that was a complete failure.
And that it was. He's killed barely any probes thus far. And since he is going that very quick 3rd CC, he actually has essentially no units, doesn't have a bunker down, doesn't really have any kind of defense. And in pretty much an exact mirror of the Huck versus the Muslim game from yesterday, Huck's just going to kind of walk across the map and start to do damage. He does have a Marauder and some Marines here. With some SCV pulls, he will be able to hold this off as long as he's careful. Can't lose that Marauder, though. Oh, he's actually just going to retreat up his ramp and give up the natural.
Well, I mean, that's already a few SCVs picked off. Well, like 1 or 2. So that's not too great, and of course the mining denied there, so Marsa's attempt to catch up is already not really helping. This drop is very, very weak. It's only a couple of Marines coming in, yeah, and he even uses the photo nova charge, just said, no, get out, and he actually picks up the medevac as well. Yeah. That
was not at all worth it. He traded a probe for a medevac and a couple of Marines. He has resecured his natural, but, I mean, Huck didn't invest anything at all. He just ran the 4 stalkers he already had across the map, so not a big deal either way there. Huck pretty much in control of the game thus far. Those 3 CCs, there's a pretty big economy that will help him play catch-up, but we already have Blink coming out as well as upgrades from Chris. And I'm not sure if he's going to go for some aggression here, similar to what he did in Game 1, where he just kind of hangs around the front with Blink Stalkers and looks for an opportunity. Hopefully Massa is wise to that by now. Is Massa actually going to attack here? He's moving out with a pretty decent little army, but it's not going to do anything against the unit production of Huck.
And actually, Huck's going to take an opportunity there to go and backstab him. There's a pylon right down below that smoke. So he will probably warp in some zealots and go right into that base, and there's going to be nothing to defend that whatsoever by the looks of it. So assuming that Huck can hold it, which he can because he has a mothership core, admittedly that's not quite about up to what it needs to be yet. So maybe there's a window here for Marsa where the energy's too low, but I don't know. This is going to be really difficult to make happen.
Yeah, just unit versus unit, I'm pretty sure Huck can win. Getting caught out here, not having much units, but he has Blink now. All of these units are going to die, and then Huck's going to be able to counterattack and just do a ton of damage and everything. Oh,
yeah, just getting smashed.
Horrendously ineffective. He got a bunch of sentry kills, which is nice, but you can't trade your whole army for 3 or 4 sentries at this point in the game. Not when you're already behind.
Marsa's getting desperate at this stage, and now there's Blink Stalkers down near the base. This is not looking good.
Not even a single bunker up for Massa. He has almost no units, a single medevac. Another medevac gets sniped by the Blink Stalkers, and Huck just complete control of this game now.
This could end up being a very short finals right now. Huck is looking really, really confident, and that's the exact opposite of what Marsa is looking. He needs some confidence. He needs something at this point. He's not getting it right now. Huck just bringing in Blink Stalkers, just blinking right into the main base, saying that I know you do not have a big enough army to take me out right here. He is losing Stalkers maybe unnecessarily to some of these SCVs, but the amount of damage he's doing is more than worth it, considering how few units Marsa actually has here. Blinks continue, more units go down, the medevac runs out of energy as it attempts to keep those marauders alive. The SCVs tanking as best they can at this point, but it's 50 probes versus 37. The Blink Stalkers just never seem to go down. And it's now 14 army supply to 34. Marsa is looking for a very quick 3-0 right here. And I don't think he's going to be able to stop that from happening.
Yeah, already 6 gateways up from Huck. He's looking for the opportunity to blink up into the main, but luckily for Masa, the Stalker does die before he gains vision of the high ground, so he isn't quite able to accomplish that, but really just in complete control thus far. Continuing to upgrade, he already has the Robo, superior production, and the bunker falls, and I think this is going to be it for Game 3.
Yeah, it's looking very, very likely. This one Soul Widowmine gets out and is going to be able to burrow, but that will kill a Stalker at most. It's not really a big concern here for Huck. And more Stalkers flooding in. Marsa continued to try and defend here, and triple orbital is nice, don't get me wrong, but he's mining out his main pretty quickly, and he doesn't have the production to keep up with Huck's constant reinforcement waves, with +2 on the way as well, about to complete here for Huck.
Yeah, triple orbital is nice, but triple orbital behind really just bad attack. It just does not work. Well, even the harassment, it was kind of okay, but that Marauder Marine medevac attack was really misguided. When you're trying to play economic catch-up behind it, which is, I don't know how he expected that to work.
Yeah, I'm not really...
Especially against someone like Huck. Huck is never going to have a dearth of units.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what his plan was there, but unfortunately, it does look like Huck is currently on another level to his opponent. And that's yet another loser pick map down. So this could end up being a 4-0. All on loser picks, which would be a bit disastrous here for Marsa. But this is going to be just terrifying him at this point. He's 3-0 down. Huck has everything in his favor. He can do whatever he wants in the next 3 games.
Yeah, he has so much to work with, and he's a very diverse player to begin with, kind of unpredictable. I don't know if he's even going to really need to mix it up.